Alexis Nunes alongside Craig Burley. Craig, it is not the perfect time to be an Arsenal fan. It is all doom and gloom over here in London, at least the Arsenal side of London. I'm not too far from Arsenal, and a lot of the fans and
Yep.
pundits are just feeling like this is probably a rock bottom or a new rock bottom for Arsenal for as long as we can remember. Is that kind of how you see it? Is this like a new rock bottom for the Gunners?
Yeah, I mean, I've not. It's been a long time since I've been on with you, and that constitutes a similar feeling for the Arsenal fans because a long time they've seen anything decent and a decent team. They have seen an FA Cup final, of course, which was successful, but these kind of things are one-off. You know, as good as they are, Wigan Athletic beat Man City 2013 in the FA Cup and were relegated. So we're looking at longevity, we're looking at consistency, we're looking at over the course of seasons, and it's been a struggle. And you look at the recruitment again this summer; they've spent a fair amount of money. But have they spent it in the right players? Do they have the right man in charge? And I think there's a huge question there. Don't forget last year, Mikel Arteta's backside was on fire until he managed to pull out these 3 or 4 wins when he was really, no matter what Arsenal say, teetering on the brink because they were getting beat every week and they were playing badly. And then somehow he managed to get enough results to stave off the pressure, and then that switch to Frank Lampard, and the sort of story goes away. But he's not far away from that already, let me tell you, because they were so poor in the first 2 games, particularly Brentford, who they're expected to at least be super competitive, if not beat. The Chelsea game was embarrassing. And I tell you one thing that really shines a light on Arteta here. It's not the fact that Chelsea dominated them. It's not the fact that Chelsea have a better squad and have had more success. But it was the fact that in Chelsea's shape under Tuchel, which is no surprise, by the way, because he's been doing it since he came in, playing that shape, that Mikel Arteta did nothing. Absolutely nothing while watching Kieran Tierney down that left-hand side get pulverised by the overload. And I think the fact he sat in his hands and basically was a rabbit staring in the headlights has thrown up even more questions about his ability to turn around this ship. And he is, trust me, a man in the hot seat.
Massive hot seat. I mean, I know the guys were just discussing on the show that, we're hearing that he probably has maybe 5 Premier League matches at least to try and turn things around. But as you say, he's not really giving us an indication of where, Arsenal could be heading. 5 Premier League games. What do you make of that number? And do you think it might be probably shorter than that?
Well, I think if they get a pounding off Man City, it will bring a bit of pressure, but won't bring a sacking. But I think the games that come after that against, I think, teams that you would deem to be in the bottom half of the table are fighting a relegation battle. Then if he's losing those games, then he's in serious trouble. Now, the other side of the coin is we have a club here with no real backbone to make big decisions. And they're sort of drifting from one side of the river to the other. Yes, they throw a bit of money around now and again, but they're soft-centred as a team and they're soft-centred as a club. And they haven't got that steeliness that they had under the Wenger era when he came in. And yeah, he had some troublesome characters in the way that they lived their life, as most players in the 90s, myself included, did. But they had a real steely backbone, and Wenger just added to that and then gradually changed it. And they were always not only one of the most attractive teams, but they were also one of the most physical teams. And I think whilst now and again we see Arsenal playing some decent stuff, there's a real soft backbone to them, and I include the manager in that. So yeah, they've got big problems. It's not all down to Mikel Arteta because this club's been in regression for quite a while. And no, it's not that we should have stuck with Wenger. It was you should have got rid of Wenger before you did. But you let it just keep going and get stale. And then the problems were some even bigger. And that mountain just seemed insurmountable to get over. And so they left it too long. And they've just lacked leadership from top to bottom. And they can spin it any way they want. But they're only slightly better than a mid-table Premier League club at this moment in time as we speak.
And one of the words that, is always thrown around when we talk about Liverpool, we're now talking about Manchester United, and now with Arsenal is transition, that people need to understand that the club is in a transition period. Liverpool, they say it took, over 20 years to get that. Man United now currently going through it. And you feel like people are probably more willing to buy into what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is doing than what Mikel Arteta is doing. What's different with Arsenal? Why, you feel like this transition kind of phrase is not buying it with the fans?
Well, I'm kind of sick of this transition sort of thing with certain clubs because it's a tool that they use to buy themselves time. And now, in some cases, it's correct, and there'll be those out there that say, "Well, there's Burley talking again, but what's the difference?" I'll tell you the difference. Liverpool were prepared to wait for that transition because they had a man with a CV and a reputation of getting the job done. Man City brought in a man who had the CV and the reputation of getting the job done. And so you can throw out that line. This is just, and I also include Man United in this. And for those that watch this channel, will be no surprised. They think I've got some agenda against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't. I have primarily, my point is show me the CV. Why he's managing Man United? The difference is Liverpool and Man City and Chelsea have proven managers with track records. And so neither of these two clubs have. And yeah, United can talk about transition, but their manager has no track record. Arsenal can talk about transition. Their manager has even less of a track record. At least Solskjaer has managed for a decade, albeit at Cardiff and back in Norway. But what's Arsenal? Where does he? What pond? What well does he go to? The well of being Guardiola's friend. So it's a big shame because this is a great club. It's a great club, fantastic stadium, but it's drifting badly at the moment, and I really struggle to see where it's going to turn around. And I also think it's not anywhere near as appealing a job now for some of the incumbent managers if they were looking around, because I think it has become such a poison chalice and such a big job to try and breach that gap between where they are and where Chelsea, Liverpool and City have reached, that a few managers will be looking at it and going, that could be another graveyard. So not only is it a struggle to attract top quality players, attracting top quality managers, I think it's also problematic for them now as well.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.